So this first week, intentionality is actually one of the first topics that I thought of when I came to value add. And one of the big reasons is because in our marriage, Janelle and I have thought about ways that we wanted to structure our day and structure our relationship. And we tried a lot of things, and sometimes it failed, and sometimes it was really good, and sometimes we got overwhelmed. A lot of times I'll write down all these ambitious things, like I'm gonna do this every day, like a 30-day video devotional or something. It's kind of ambitious. I'm that kind of person. But often a week or so goes by and I don't even realize that I've stopped doing a bunch of those things, or maybe I don't even ever actually do them. I write them up really late at night one night and I think, this is what we're gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. And then we don't ever do them. So maybe that's how you've thought about some of this intentionality stuff. Is like, sounds great to like mark my day by sharing meal times, or taking technology out a little bit, or even reading Psalm 1 every day this week. But I was struck by a comment made, and this is where the word intentionality came from for my value add project, was during our Marriage Strong 9-week relationships thing. It was a small group discussion, I guess not really a therapy session, but it was a psychoeducational group led by a therapist. But it was with 3 couples, and we met at this gal's home in Pasadena. She was connected to my seminary at the time, Fuller, and it was a great opportunity for us to learn a lot from her and learn together and to learn how we communicate. That was the big thing that we were learning, was how to communicate with each other. And in that, she mentioned that growing up, or especially as a parent, she didn't model super well like a daily Bible reading thing. But she says that her kids reflect back and say that there are times that they were intentional with making God a priority, or they were the times that they were intentional with communicating with each other well and in healthy ways and eating meals together. It wasn't that every day and every season that they were perfect at meeting some of these goals, but it was that there were seasons when they were really intentional together, and that those really made a difference. And so her encouragement for us, because the last session was a vision for our marriage, was for us to be intentional at different seasons. So the invitation for us was every few months to kind of think about a vision for our marriage, and are we living into that? So for us, we had been married a couple years, 3 or 4 years at the time. Now we've been married 5 years, and it was almost 2 years ago now that happened. And so it's been now for the last 2 years that we've had what we call our pipe dream for our marriage. And that stands for presence, intentionality, prayer, and exercise. And so with this, it's actually a full-on intentionality thing. We use this pipe dream as a way to talk about conversations around presence, how we're present with each other, how often that influences how much TV we're watching and technology. Intentionality, meaning like, do we actually sit down and talk about life? Do we talk about each other's work? How do we spend time with Ashlyn? Or what are we doing to be intentional? And so that sparked some things like a weekly coffee date where we take turns setting up what the conversation's going to be about and asking each other questions. We've got a joy jar where we intentionally record the things that we're thankful for, and then at the end of the year we get to read those things. There's a lot of ways that we're trying to structure our life with intentionality. Doesn't mean that every day we add something to the joy jar, but it does mean that we're thinking about it once in a while. And then prayer has been something that we've struggled with, but we really have found some technology helpful, like using the Pray As You Go app, and some other ways like doing yoga together, even as a form of prayer practice. So I hope that that what I'm saying isn't that we're perfect and we've got this all figured out, but that these are conversations where we know we struggle with prayer, and so every time we come up and come back to the pipe dream, we talk about prayer again. And then exercise. We're part of a COVID-19 workout group on Facebook, so if you need some motivation, you could join that private group. You could also do some other things where you engage with others around thinking about exercise. But for Janelle and I, the times where we felt the most intimacy with each other was when we were exercising together. And so as I think about intentionality and a lot of things, I think the whole point is to promote intimacy. And that's really what the psalmist is talking about here, that the Lord knows the righteous. So hear the end of Psalm 1. They are like a tree planted by streams of water, which bears fruit at just the right time, and whose leaves don't fade. Whatever they do succeeds. That's not true for the wicked. They are like dust that the wind blows away. That's why the wicked will not have no standing in the court of the justice, neither will sinners in the assembly of the righteous. The Lord is intimately acquainted with the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is destroyed. Hear verse 6 one more time. The Lord is intimately acquainted with the righteous, but the way of the wicked is destroyed. The hope is that you're not cultivating a life full of goals and successes, but a life of intimacy with your Lord. That is what really adds value to your life.